Welcome, Dan. Thank you for coming on today.
Hey, Nick, thanks for having me, and thanks to everybody for joining us this evening.
Yeah, of course. For those who may not necessarily know your background as much, can you, assuming as Dr. Lashbrook always says, assuming you went to high school, would you go to high school and start from there?
I went to the best public high school in the country, Lane Technical High School in Chicago. Not only was it the largest high school, it is called the School of Champions. I went on from there, as in Chicago. I went on from there to intern with the Chicago White Sox, worked 20 years, elevated to vice president baseball operations, went to the Cubs for 6 months. From there, went to the Dodgers as the general manager of the Dodgers, then to the Seattle Mariners, then an agent for about 5 or 6 years, and then to the Toronto Blue Jays as a scout and as director of player or Pacific Rim operations. And then I was the chief operating officer of the Field of Dreams. And I've been teaching a class here at Sports Management Worldwide called Baseball GM and Scouting for 13 years now. And we have almost 400 alumni working in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what SMWW is all about. And I mean, so let's start with that. So, Dan, can you walk through if someone was to take your baseball gym and scouting, what are they going to learn from both you and Hank Jones? And, what are some next steps afterwards? Because obviously people want to know, how do I get a job in baseball?
16 sessions, 8 Monday nights, 8 Wednesday nights. Hank Jones is one of the best area scouts in the modern era. I worked with him in Los Angeles. He's elite. He's got the respect of everybody in the game. You'll learn scouting, player development. You'll learn baseball operations, the labor agreement, negotiations. I'm really big into tech. I'll give you some ideas on some of today's, like tonight, we're teaching a class and we're going to be talking about spin rate. We're going to be talking about the basic agreement. And the real advantage is you take our course in 8 weeks, 16 classes, you have a better foundation to take to the table in an interview, in a resume, in a verbal discussion. You're going to have a better chance of getting your point across and understanding the game a little bit. We just try to give you a better foundation in the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And from someone who has been around the game for quite some time, what are some of what are some things that as you were growing up in the game, some of the challenges that you faced and actually maybe even benefited you going through those challenges as well?
Nick, I think most people, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here, but let's just be honest with ourselves. There's a lot of self doubt and there's a lot of aspirations. There's a lot of desire to work in the game. And unless you're willing to be relentless to get in, it's going to be a tough thing because it's a great game to work in. And people from all over the world are trying to get in. What we teach in our class is there's 30 big league teams, but there's 120 minor league teams. There's over 400 college baseball programs, and there's all sorts of opportunities on the periphery of the game to also be inside the sport. So we try to broaden your lens. I think, Nick, the biggest thing in baseball today is teams are always hiring. They're always looking for somebody. And within our class, we give you some really keen insights as to how to go about getting into the game. And in our class, not only do we tell you that, but we give you that better foundation so that when you do get an interview, when you do have a virtual meeting, you're better prepared to nail it. And if you nail it, then you're in the game like almost 400 other alumni. And now the cool thing is at the winter meetings, for example, you see so many of our alumni in the audience as members of the baseball community. And they are so great at the baseball career conference because they remember what it was like to be one of you on this call. And they remember what it was like to try to get in, and then they did get in, and then they give back. So it's a fascinating experience. I think the other thing, Nick, is this: it's a global game. The game is played in like 60 different countries. The World Baseball Classic has become the marquee event for the sport. And, we're looking at guys like Otani that are dominating. I've seen Otani since high school in person, know him well. And as a result, what you get in our class is you get a real feel, not from 30,000 feet, but from in the trenches, having done it in every element of the game. There's very few things that our students ask us or inquire about that we haven't experienced. And because of that, we're able to help them. And I can tell you this: if I can't help you, I always DM people in the game and I get the answer during the class. I just did that last week. I reached out to somebody during the class and said, "Hey, one of my students is asking this. Did you ever have that happen? If so, give me some feedback." They had an answer before the class was even over.
Yeah, I mean, when you're around the game, very much so, you get a lot of knowledge, obviously, through the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations, and also with networking. And you were talking about the international part of the game. Can you speak about, I know you might have a story about your time with the Dodgers, and like the global outreach on how you were able to apply that. Can you speak a little bit more on that?
Sure. I've been to so many countries around the world because of that little 5 ounce ball. It's taken me all over the world. And what's really fun about it is my growth culturally, socially, my awareness has been gained. I think I'm a better person having traveled all over the world. But as a result, my contacts are ridiculously global. I have 23,000 contacts right now. And it's absurd, but it's from all different parts of the game. It's national team chairman. It's a coach of a college team. It's a intern with a minor league team. It's an owner of a minor league franchise. And I think my favorite story of my SMWW career was I was in Osaka, Japan, which is about a 3 hour bullet train, Shikansen train ride from Tokyo. So at the end of my day, it's 16 hours ahead in Tokyo. I took a bullet train back to Tokyo Station. I had a class to teach that night, Tokyo time. I got there, we were ever so slightly delayed. It was about 5 minutes to 12. And my class, because of my travel, was scheduled to start at midnight Tokyo time. So what did I do? I taught the class from Tokyo Station, sitting against a wall with a security guard next to me who wanted to get into the game himself. Huge baseball fan, a Tokyo resident, big fan of the Tokyo Giants. And I sat there for 2.5 hours and taught our class. And then at 2:30 in the morning, put myself together and took a taxi back to my hotel. I came back to the train station at 6 a.m. and the guard was there. And all he did was laugh. He just said, "Wow, I've been telling people, where are you going today?" And I said, "I'm going to Sapporo, Japan on the train." So it's a nonstop thing. I've lived the game my entire adult life. So as a result, I bring people in for discussions, for chats, to just talk about some of the jobs that you may never know go on in the game. As an example, I think it's November 13th. I'm going to have someone from minor league baseball in a job position you would never know existed, and he's elite at it. And I'm just trying to not only broaden your horizons, but inform you that there's this whole world out there of different roles and responsibilities that are within the sport. And I can tell you one thing very important. There's no hyperbole, there's no BSing you. We tell you what it's really like. We tell you about the commitment, the grind, the relentless nature of the schedule. And what that really does is that gives you a giant heads up about what you're getting into. One of our former students just called me about 3 days ago, and his team was just eliminated in the postseason in the last couple of weeks. And he said, I had no idea that I was going to work 12 to 15 hours a day for 8 straight months and love it. And I said, yeah, good. I'm happy. He said, but you told me to be ready for that. And you told me, don't worry about your next day off, worry about the next thing to do, which I do. And Nick, I think if anything, there's jobs out there for everybody in whatever you're thinking about doing. You just have to know how to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were talking about some of the roles that you have been a part of. I mean, starting as an intern with the Chicago White Sox. If you don't mind, can you like break down some of the day-to-day activities you had to do, especially when you started as an intern and then as you started moving up the food chain?
Sure. I started as an intern with the White Sox as a 20-year-old junior at DePaul University, an unpaid internship, 3 credit hours. I was just trying to accelerate my graduation. I wanted to be a criminal prosecutor, and this would have given me the ability to graduate a quarter earlier and go to law school mid-year instead of the following fall, which would have given me about a 6 month head start on my career. Um, Never took the LSAT because I just fell in love with my gig. I had four Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famers as my mentors. And in my second full year, I brought a new technology to the White Sox, pitch charting and plotting of the game, a system that's still used by 29 of the 30 teams today. I moved the dimensions of Comiskey Park, literally a 75-year-old ballpark, as a result for the beginning of the 1983 season. And voila, my career was set. I was a 23-year-old who had really impacted a franchise. We won a division championship. I was an general manager by 26. So all encompassing elements of the game: budget, contract negotiations, arbitration, preparation and presentation, trades, media, writing, you name it, scheduling, overseeing scouting, player development, being the point guy in all things good and bad, personnel, just being an ideas person. And I took that same role throughout my career where I was the top personnel guy most of the time. And if not, I was at the table in the room all the time, my last 35, 40 years in the game. As a result, there's really no situation that I haven't been a part of. And because I was an agent also for 5 or 6 years, and I had 83 big league players. One year I had 10 of the first 55 players in the draft. So, I know what it feels like, what it looks like. I will tell you all from an internship standpoint, just be prepared to contribute any way you possibly can. Get in the door. Once you get in the door, being a good teammate, being a good person, having a good work ethic, having good interpersonal skills, that's what gets you to the next step. If you come in with the attitude, I'm above that, or, it's Friday night, I want to go out, I'm not going to stick around and work, your internship won't be as productive. And what I always strive to do is to tell people this is your opportunity to dive in the deep end. Just dive in. Don't worry about the side of the wall. Just dive in and learn how to contribute. And once they see you can contribute, you'll have more and more things put on your plate. It's exactly what happened to me. I had no expectations, but I had boundless desire and energy, and that's carried me throughout my career.
Yeah, I mean, we hear all the time, people looking to get a job in sports, specifically in baseball. I want to be in the analytics department. I want to be in the player development department, and I want to be in arbitration and all this. But, is it more important to get just a job for a team than to get maybe something that you've totally never thought you would do, or maybe, something that you're able to get, but it's not really your skill set, so that you can be able to show off your skills and translate into transfer it wherever you want to go to. Is that a good idea, or is it important to stay diligent to what your, direction is, even if it takes a little bit longer, or is it just to get in and move around?
Well, I'll answer that in a couple different directions, Nick. First of all, I would never limit your scope to the 30 big league teams. I think there's hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities in the game. Come in, do your job in whatever capacity with whatever entity, and you'll get experience that will propel you to a trajectory that's exactly what you want. Limiting it to the 30 big league clubs is a logo grab. You don't have that many shots. So if I'm you, I pursue it with universities, colleges all across the country, minor league teams, the Cape Cod League, the Northwoods League, the Alaskan Summer Ball. There's all sorts of chances to get into the game. Limiting yourself to just 30 clubs makes it infinitesimally hard. I mean, it's nearly impossible to get in. The other part about it, Nick, is this: chase your passion, be relentless, but understand if opportunity knocks and it's not exactly what you want, get in the pool. Because once you get in and you display your skills, your personality trait, you have some on the job experience, that's when people give you more opportunities to do more things because they view you as a good teammate. Getting in is more important than nurturing your singular love. And listen, you may have this thing where you're the expert on left-handed hitting catchers from the Eastern Seaboard. Hey, that's wonderful. That's fantastic. How many people are looking for that exact role responsibility? If you go to your LinkedIn profile, it should make you look like a versatile, valuable potential contributor. And we work on that in the class because the goal is to sell yourself as somebody who can make an immediate contribution, but can also have upside in their career. And I think one of the mistakes that a lot of people make is they're unprepared to work for a team. I call it logo chasing. It's a distinct mistake. And then when they get there, they don't broaden their skill set. And as a result, their next job becomes almost a repetition of their previous internship. And none of us want to replicate an experience. We want to grow. So, what we try to do is target opportunities and positions that not only have immediate contribution levels, but have upside growth. Because with that, that skill set becomes not only transferable, but more valuable.
Absolutely. And for someone who has been at the executive level and had to, make decisions on people, both players and your own personal staff as well. Can you walk into what that looks like as someone who's on the other side of the table?
I think, Nick, people forget that we're entering their little club. Remember the lunch table in elementary school and high school that, we all kind of wanted to be in, and you can't really invite yourself. You need somebody to say, hey, Nick, come on over here and sit with us. Well, that's what the baseball world is like. Fangraphs, Baseball Prospectus, SABR, any of the colleges and universities, any of the providers of services for big league teams, they're a pre existing unit that is working really well. And you want to be a part of their unit. Well, it's not just your skill set, it's who are you as a teammate? Are you a good person? Do you have a good work ethic? Are you a good communicator? Is it all about you? Or is it all about the common goal? Are you the guy that doesn't want to help at 11 o'clock at night? Or are you the guy that says, listen, I'll do whatever it takes and we'll all get out of here early? People are looking for teammates. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is when they're going after a job that already, with a pre existing situation, regardless what it is, there's a group of people who are already doing it, who are already working boundless hours, who already are away from their loved ones, not able to date that night, not able to go to dinner with their partner. They want somebody who makes them better, who really supplements what they're doing. And Nick, you know what they really want? They want somebody, if they're working 15 hours a day with them, they want somebody who's good to be around, somebody who's truly a good teammate. I think one of the hardest things about baseball is that we play every day, literally every single day. I have a great friend who's an elite football guy. He leads an organization. They play once a week. And he always tells me, oh, my coach sleeps overnight for 3 or 4 days. And one day I just laughed at him. And he goes, what's so funny? I said, oh, don't give me that false hustle garbage. I said, why does he sleep in his office? I said, we play 162 days or games in 182 days. And everybody sleeps in their own bed or in a hotel bed. We're not spending the night in our place. We have a life of our own. So don't give me that false hustle nonsense because we work more hours than you. Everybody, here's an example. A student asked me at the University of Iowa about a year ago. So, did you lose once in a while? Well, I figured out that my teams lost 2,870 times, which sounds like a lot. All right. That's a lot of losses. It's not the wins and the losses that define me. It's the relationships and the experiences. So for me, when people say, what's your greatest memory? It's not a winning game. It's not a great trade. It's usually something really fun or something that happened throughout my career that the game was a part of, but the game itself, the outcome, was not the element. And I think for all of you thinking about getting into the sport, that's what I've loved about my career is I don't measure myself by the 3,000 plus wins or the 2,870 losses. I measure myself by the relationships and the experiences that I've had. And I've had great ones. I've met 7 presidents. I met the Pope. I've met a lot of rock stars. I've got relationships with people I never could have imagined that many of you would consider celebrities. I consider friends, but I also have people all over the world that are relationships brought to the table by baseball. So I think, it's that camaraderie. It's my friend in Japan who texted me, he WhatsApped me at 5 o'clock in the morning Central Time, just saying hello. His team just made the Japan series final. Well, I knew him before he was married with 4 kids. So there's growth there, even though he's 6,000 miles away. And I think that's what's great about the game. Sure, it's great to win. Oh my God, winning is awesome. Okay. Losing can suck, but if you learn from it, it's nothing terrible. You learn from it. But I think the biggest advantage I've had is I had great people at the initial stages of my career mentoring me. And now I give that back in our class.
Yeah, I mean, you highlighted every time you talk, you highlighted the importance of networking and being able to form those long-lasting relationships because you never know. They may need you in the future, you might need them in the future, and it's not because it's like a mutual business exchange, it's because you genuinely care about the person. You generally
That's
want
why
to get to know them. And so with that being said, I know a lot of people is like, well, I'm coming into this, I don't know anyone in the baseball world. It's impossible for me to get a job because I don't have GMs that I could just call. I don't have directors I can call. So, what are some key ways that's good to network both in everyday life through potentially informational interviews, which is part of our curriculum and our courses, but also at the baseball winter meetings? Because I know last year we went, and I know you've been plenty of times. So, can you kind of give a little bit of an insight what it's like to go into an SMWW baseball career conference, but also at the same time just being in that hotel lobby, whether it's at the Anatole last year or at I think it's pretty close to the Wyndham this year in Orlando. Like, what
Mhm.
does that look like?
Relationships are everything in the game. I have a dot card, and it's ridiculous how many times I use it. A friend of mine this afternoon that I had a meeting with, a business meeting with, said to me, he said, you never really know who you're going to meet next that knows somebody that you've met before. And he's dead on. So you have to treat people well and you have to network well. I really push a lot your LinkedIn profile in our class. I think it's a critical ingredient of being really able to, to nail your expectations and to nail your goals. I always say every week, have you looked at your LinkedIn profile? How is it? I mean, you can all look at mine. I encourage you to link with me, connect with me. I'm tweaking it all the time. And I've been in the game for 40 plus years. I'm a work in progress. I always am. I'm always evolving. So for me, your your connections, your networking is vital to your career. I want you to think about something. Think of somebody in the game that you respect, that you know of. Every one of them, every single one of them was you at one point. They were not in the game, and they were trying to figure out how to get into the game. Among them are extroverts, introverts, career changers, high school graduates, college graduates, masters, double masters, PhDs. People come from all over the world, from all different backgrounds, but each of them have something in common with you, which is they were once you. Now, if you take that attitude, none of them are intimidating. I give you ways of getting to them within our class, and I give crystal clear, proven ways to get to you. But in one thing Nick mentioned is the winter meetings. Now, the winter meetings for me is one big buffet of my career right in front of me. It's thousands of acquaintances that if you're with me for an hour or 2 hours, you can stay in the same spot and meet 150 people. And the reason is I've got a lot of relationships. I network and I try to network people. I try to introduce people. So when you go to the winter meetings, there are college coaches, there are tech suppliers, there are innovators, there are entrepreneurs, there are owners, there are general managers, players, agents, media people, club operators, minor league directors, minor league operators, mascots. There's such a myriad of roles in the lobby. And candidly, if you hang with me for a night, you're going to meet a lot of different people. But the fun of it is this: we all have one thing in common. We work in the sport in some capacity. And you know what? Maybe your skill set is such that it's not a general manager. I mean, I in the early stages of my career, I never envisioned being a general manager. I just wanted to do my job really well and help my group. Well, all of a sudden, I was 26, 27 years old, and I was starting to get a lot of notoriety. There was one year that Baseball America named me the #1 general manager prospect. And hell, I wasn't even shaving every day. I wasn't really ready, but it didn't matter. What really mattered was that people were starting to trust my judgment and trust my people skills. And I was collaborative in nature. And as a result, I had opportunities, folks, far before I was ready. And I talk about that very openly in our class. I wasn't ready at all to be an assistant general manager. Was I ready to be a general manager? Arguably, yes, but you never really know until you're in that seat. Luckily, I'd been with two huge franchises in major markets because when you take over the Dodgers, it's real. I mean, it's a big deal. So we did some great things with LA, but part of the reason we were able to do it is I hired some really great staff to be around me. And I thought from a more global perspective about bringing some elite people in to turn our situation around. So, for all of you, I encourage you, dream big. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about trying to connect with people, but also, don't go chasing general managers and owners and team presidents. What are your odds? Your odds are so poor. You have a better shot pursuing people that are in the positions you're currently seeking and maybe just above them and hear from them. And we talk about things like that a lot in our class, but the objective is not to make it hard to get in, but give you background to make it easier to get that first opportunity.
Yeah, and I know, and as we get going, we'll open up the floor for Q&A. So again, start thinking of those questions, put them in the chat. We'll try to get each and one of you guys' questions. I know, I personally did play baseball in college and a little bit of indie ball, and what I hear a lot is baseball is a microcosm for life. Well, obviously that is when it comes to the on the field stuff. You can do everything right, you can square up a ball, but it didn't do anything. Or you can square up a ball, got it out, but you progressed, you moved the runner over, you scored in a run. That's a success. And that's sometimes like in life, we sometimes take 2 steps forward and take 1 step back. Well, at that case, you're still 1 step forward than you were before. And so with that being said, and I know a lot of people said, well, I didn't play. My dad doesn't own a team. You know, can you talk about what are some ways that people who didn't play the game at that level, that there's still tons of roles? I know I did an informational interview with a scouting manager for the Washington Nationals, and he didn't play a lick of baseball, but he was very passionate about it, and he really studied
Mhm.
hard with the scouting aspect of it, with the analytics aspect of it. Can you go more into detail about, what does that usually look like? And, some people ask, is there even a chance for me if I didn't play the game?
There is no one pathway to a decision making role in the game at whatever level, in whatever silo. 40 years ago, it would have helped to have been a really good player, perhaps a minor leaguer, but a guy who played a ton. But 40 years ago, staffs were 20 deep, 25 deep. Now they have hundreds of staff people. Let's take a look at the two teams that are in the World Series. I worked for both of them in decision making roles. Um, with the Blue Jays, I was a major league scout and their director of Pacific Rim operations. I saw the minor league players. I saw all of the key amateurs that we were trying to go after. I scouted all over the big leagues, advanced scouted for the postseason, was involved in every trade we did. And oh, by the way, everything else that my general manager wanted me to do. Very different organization than the Dodgers. The Blue Jays are run by a more collaborative group of people. They're very analytics driven. Um, they've got a lot of people working for them, but they're Canada's team. They're run by a conglomerate, by the Rogers Corporation, which is candidly the biggest business entity in Canada. It's an amazing entity, but their team president, he didn't play pro baseball. Their field manager, who was working in the minor leagues when I was there, he didn't get out of A ball. You look over at the Dodgers, and the Dodgers make the best personnel decisions currently in the game. Yes, they have a lot of money, but they put 90% of their resources back into their baseball team. So as a result, their player development, their scouting, their analytics, their worldwide element of their team is elite. But they have a general manager who is incredible. He also did not play professional baseball. His skill set is more analytics oriented, but his people skills are extraordinary. He's a great collaborator. Their team president is an elite man. He's got an unbelievable work ethic. He's ran football teams, basketball teams, hockey teams, the Atlanta Braves of the 1990s that were elite. This guy has been on top of all of that. Every team, every college, every director of baseball operations at the collegiate level has a different pathway. The skill sets that teams are looking for are different in just about every case because they have people surrounding them who bring different things to the table. So, whereas you may be overqualified in one situation, you're underqualified with another team. And that's one of the beauties of the game. You really don't know what exactly they're looking for. Just bring the best you to the table. For some clubs, you're a good fit. For other teams, you're not today. You might be next week. And I think one of the coolest things about the sport is now it doesn't matter your socioeconomic background. It doesn't matter what kind of parchment you have. It doesn't matter if you played. And it also doesn't matter if you're new school or old school. You just have to understand that by combining today's game, today's analytics world, with the great scouting concepts of the past, you have a better chance of getting the decision right. So what we teach in our class is not old school. It's not new school. It's a blend to be best prepared to make good decisions. And Nick, for a lot of people, they think you have to make a decision as to, am I an old school guy? Am I a new school guy? No, be a today's school guy.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. You see it all the time on social media and even on LinkedIn, people like analytics can be damaging to sports because it takes out the people part, the human aspect of the game, depending on how you run it, right? So with that being said, obviously not all models out there are perfect. Everything has the flaws, and they even coming up with new stuff like Stuff Plus and Location Plus and all that as we keep going on. How does a front office and on the field balance the difference between all the numbers you gain fed to you, saying that, hey, with this righty-righty matchup, we have to go here, but maybe your eyes are saying, yeah, but this starting pitcher is just cruising by. Or, when does that gut instinct react? And do you agree that analytics in all sports generally is having a negative, positive, or, with the right framework and the right direction, it's very beneficial?
I think any information that you can give me that bolsters my ability to make a decision makes it valuable to me. Now, some people don't agree with that. Some people are very lopsided. They prefer scouting or prefer player analytics. I want as much information as you can give me. I am ultimately going to make a gut decision, but it's a gut decision based on facts, based on awareness. Sometimes it's 80% analytics. Sometimes it's 10% analytics. But every time I want as much of the subjectivity out of the equation as I can. However, I obtain that, whether it's from scouting whether it's from awareness of the past, whether it's from analytics, I'm good. I mean, like tonight, one of the things we're going to talk about is tomorrow night's matchup between, or no, Friday night's matchup between Gosman and Snell and how they're different and how analytics can help us define how they're different, but also from a scouting perspective, they're different. So I think, Nick, one of the problems is a lot of people think you should take a side in that equation. I don't believe that's an accurate way to look at it. I want the best amount of information and let me make a decision based on having as much information or more. There are some teams that are very poor at scouting and very good at analytics. And there are some teams that are very poor at analytics and very, very poor at scouting. I will tell you, when you get into the postseason, just about every organization is a really good blend. The lopsided teams watch a lot of television and they binge watch things like the pit. Why? Because they don't have a game to be played after the end of September. The teams that blend it really well, those are the teams that are really good. I mean, a great example, I know Dave Roberts exceptionally well. He played for me. I traded for him in Los Angeles. I've been a good friend of his for an extended period. We text and talk enough. In fact, he came as a guest to our baseball career conference almost 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Dave, give him as much information as you can to help him make a decision, but it's going to be a gut decision when it's all said and done. And I think for all of you, you know, you can't have robotic decision making into a game as quirky as baseball. If you do, you're not going to win. You can't. We have people coming from all different backgrounds, cultures, countries, sizes, shapes. I mean, a game that has Altuve and Judge, I mean, give me a break. Those are two such contrasting people. But the key in our game is he who has the most information generally has the best chance of getting it right.
Absolutely. I mean, the more you know, the better of an expert you become in a certain situation. So with that being said, we're gonna go to a few Q&As. Let's start off, and I apologize if I mispronounce, Branov. How about you unmute your mic and ask your question to Dan?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Dan. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Great to see you again. So my question was mostly about just making connections and things like that. We all really care about the people that we meet, and we want to do our best and learn from everybody. But a lot of times, especially at conferences, when you're meeting hundreds of people, it can come off as fake or disingenuous if you're just if you brush people off or you get tired and things like that. But I want to know, in your experience, the people you got the best connections with, how did you feel that passion from them? How did they best, cultivate that kind of connection with you through, written letters, through calls, through texts, and finding the line between being too pushy and being not pushy enough? I just wanted to hear your thoughts on all the connections you've made throughout your career, how best to go about it for somebody entry level like a lot of us.
Great question. And he just had one of the great experiences and an entry level position. So congratulations. And that was just because of being relentless in your pursuit. I'm a gut feel guy, Pranav, and I think I am very definitely an extroverted people person. I trust people until they burn me. But I think I can also smell BS. And when I sense it's disingenuous, when I sense it's not real, I call people out a lot. I'll say things like, "Oh, come on, this is. Do I get this from you tomorrow? Do I get this from everybody who meets you that this is who you are?" And I think calling people out sometimes, I do it because it's like you're not coming off as real. You're not coming off as genuine. Is it hard? I mean, I'll give you an example. I was just in front of five people an hour and a half, 2 hours ago that I'd never met before in a huge meeting. And I just decided, I don't know who's making the call, but I'm going to listen to all 5 people. And by the middle part of the meeting, I'm going to know who's making the decisions. Luckily, I was right. Luckily, it all worked out well. But at the same time, you can only be as good as you prepare. Being able to communicate well is imperative. Having a dot card or having a really good business card, it's absolutely essential. It's also important to know who you're talking to be aware of who's in the room and what have they done. You can't teach that, but you can prepare for that. But the other thing is this, and I think it's the most critical thing. If you come off as disingenuous, whether you are or not, that's how you're perceived. And if you're perceived that way, you have no chance. So just try to be genuine. Practice your elevator pitch, but practice your elevator pitch eye to eye. Practice your elevator pitch with no superfluous crap. Make it something that they want. I always tell people in our class, make them want to know more about you. Great question.
Thank you,
Thank you. I
Pranav.
appreciate it.
I forgot to ask, talk a little bit, you kind of already gave your introductions, but as you come on to, as future question askers come on to Spotlight, we do ask you to introduce so we can know who we're talking with. And Dan and I would love to get to know you. So next up, we got Colin here.
Hey Dan, I'm Colin Freiberg. Hey, I'm actually from Naperville, but I've been living in Chicago the
Yeah,
last 10 years.
Central, West, North. Which one? Which one did you go to?
I would have gone to Central, but I actually went to St. Francis in Wheaton.
Gotcha. Good for you.
Yeah, I have a question for you. So, people who take your course, what's kind of a typical entry-level job that someone might get once they finally, get those interviews and land a job?
Yeah, great question, Colin. First of all, Colin's from the southwestern suburbs of Chicago. And in Chicago, we all laugh that you can say you're from Chicago, but very few people are from Chicago. They're from Chicagoland. Um, so I would say there's a variety of entry level positions. They go from interpreter to baseball operations to area scout to part-time slash associate scout to pro scout. Um, I have 2 people who run national teams that were with us and within 2 years became the national team director. So they went right to a national team role. I think, Colin, it's the pathways are so incredibly unique. What I try to do is we try to enhance your skill set and bring out maybe a few elements that you didn't quite know you really liked. And then we try to get you to the door that you like the most, but also show you a window on some other things that are areas that you might be really interested in. One year we had a guy who wanted to get in scouting, but he was trilingual. And about a week after the class was over, a club called me and said, hey, and this happens frequently. A club called me and said, hey, any of your students, do you have a interpreter type who's bilingual Spanish English and knows the game? And I said, absolutely. He got hired. And he went in thinking he was going to be in player development. He got a World Series ring and he was just interpreting. So I think, Colin, more than anything, our goal is to get you in, but also give you opportunities and educate you best as far as what's out there. Sometimes they're internships, but a lot of times they're just terrific opportunities, like with the Cape Cod League or with the team. And I know I said it earlier, but I don't allow logo chasing. I try to do mentor chasing.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank
You
you for
got
your
it.
question, Colin. I know we had a question in the chat from Adriana about about women in the scouting field. Like, is there a place in the game for women scouts in baseball, and kind of like you can talk. I know you can highlight, especially the first woman GM, on that forefront as well.
Adriana, or is it Adriana? I'm not sure. I want to get your name right. 35, 40 years ago, there was not an opportunity, but the game has shed that problem. I'm very proud to be a part of that glass ceiling breaking. I hired an intern 35 years ago who turned out to be the assistant general manager of the Dodgers, who turned out to be the first female general manager in Major League history in Kim Ng. The game is full of elite women who are assistant GMs, directors of baseball administration or operations, on the cusp of being general managers, of being collegiate athletic directors, collegiate director of baseball operations. I think the great thing about the game is a lot of the nonsense that was going on 30 and 40 years ago about gender, race, a lot of the inherent biases that were going on, they're gone. And they're gone because good people have come in and done their job and paved the way for you. So, no worries whatsoever, Adriana. Just be a good candidate. Your gender, your ethnicity, your race, it's not going to matter anymore in the game.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for bringing some insights in that, Dan. We'll go to our next question. Willie, uh, turn on your video and ask a question to hear Dan.
Hi, Dan. How are you? I'm here in Champaign. I'm not in a tropical environment,
Yeah, Willie,
despite
I
my
was going to say,
background.
here in Champaign, I've been down there. It doesn't look like that.
No, it does not. I I'm from Chicago. I went to Whitney Young High School. I almost went to Lane,
He's a
but
Delta.
Lane was too big for me. It was a really big school, and so I wanted to go to Whitney Young. It was a little bit smaller. It was also a really good
And a
school,
great
just like
school.
Lane. Yeah.
Great school.
Yes. My question was, I know that you were an agent for a number of years. Looking
Mhm.
back on your time as an agent, can you just talk about what it was like to be an agent? And um, I was just a little like confused on like the qualifications that you need to be an agent. Do you have to be a scout or because I know there's like an extra step that you have to take to in baseball to be an agent. And so I just recently became certified in football to be an agent in football. So I was just wondering about baseball. What's the requirement for baseball? I read it, but I didn't quite understand it. And so I was wondering if you.
Well, Willie, first of all, I think you win background of the day. I would love to be there right now. It's 43 degrees in Ankeny, Iowa right now. And a couple of you have asked me, my background is Koshin Stadium in Osaka, Japan. It's the home of the Hanshin Tigers and the home of their national high school tournament. It's my favorite stadium in the world. I just absolutely love it. They have just an amazing energy, and I love food, and my God, the food there is unbelievable. So, being an agent, Willie, you have to pass a test regarding the labor agreement and regarding baseball's administrative rules. You also have to have a significant background check because you are basically guiding and helping the assets of the game. You know, you're taking the hundreds, if not thousands, of players and maneuvering them throughout the game. And that takes a lot of dexterity, a lot of awareness. And as a result, the background check is vital. Knowledge of the labor agreement is so important because it cultivates options and cultivates an awareness that allows you to represent your player best. I loved being an agent. I elected to be an agent because my daughters were in high school and I was out of town 200 plus days a year and I wanted to be home more. And then 5 years later, they were both in college and I wanted to win again. And Paul Beeston, the president of the Blue Jays, recruited me. A couple other teams had reached out to me to be their general manager, and I didn't want to wake up in that city or with that team or with that owner. So I was very picky after my time with the Dodgers because I could be. I had worked for a great team, but honestly, I loved being an agent. It was fun. I had relationships. Really, Willie, it helps to be a good evaluator because then you know who the players are that you'll derive revenue from. Um, you can't pick your friends. You got to pick the people who are going to help you financially, but they also are demanding because they expect you to be there for them. So it's difficult, but boy, was it fun. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Willie, for your question as well. And next up, we got Michael. Michael, introduce yourself and what's your question for Dan?
Hi, Dan. I'm Michael Shopoff. I've never lived in Chicago, not from Chicago, so feeling a little left out here. I'm
We'll cut
here in
your kids,
Houston.
Michael. Don't worry about it.
Um, you mentioned early on how teams are constantly hiring, and was just curious about actually the current environment leading into the expiration of the labor agreement after this coming season. Um, Already heard a little feedback of, well, we don't want to staff up because we don't want to end up letting people go at that point. And you even, saw it with the Angels hiring Kurt Suzuki today and only giving him a 1-year deal. So
Mhm.
was just curious your thoughts about how to maneuver that. As you know, I'll be at the winter meetings and would love to meet you there, but how to maneuver that in entry level opportunities of, being open and saying, hey, look, I don't have to have a guarantee past a year. Any year I can get is great.
Yeah. Michael, first of all, Vince Scully instilled something in me. And he used to always say, we're all day to day, aren't we? I mean, if you're worried about longevity and security, you don't even know if you're going to wake up the next day. I mean, I lost a great friend last weekend that was one of the most elite athletes I knew. He's in great shape and he had a brain aneurysm and he's gone. So I think that mindset has helped me throughout my career. I have jumped a little bit and done some fun things. I mean, the Field of Dreams is a great example. You know, just trust your judgment and go do things. When it comes to, and Michael, it's a great question. When it comes to security in the labor agreement, you know what? There's a labor agreement every 5 to 8 years. So this, insecurity, this, underlying stuff going on, it happens all the time. There are 30 different owners with 30 different ways of working. So, that may not be the right organization for you, but another organization might say, Michael, listen, we're going to play baseball eventually. We love your skill set. We'd love to have you on board. I think one of the great things I've learned is, and let's just take an example, if each of us right now went to an all you can eat dinner buffet, okay, we'd all come out of it feeling really good, pretty well full, doing okay. But I'll bet you almost none of us would eat the same thing. But we'd come out going, heck yeah, I mean, I'd say, hey, listen, would you mind if, can I grab that salmon over there and can I have some of this? Everybody's got their own way of doing things. All you got to do is find that singular match. And Michael, you know what? Most of the answers are going to be no. They'd be no for me if I applied with my skill set. Most are no. All it takes is one yes. And that one yes can propel you to a career trajectory, whether it's entry level, whether it's career change, whether it's, something that you'd always wanted to do, but never had the opportunity. You'd be amazed at how different teams operate when it comes to hiring. And because there's no one way in our class, we try to challenge you and all the students to think about, what are you afraid of? And what if you got placed in something? What could you perhaps be okay in that maybe today you don't think you'd be real good, but you know what? You'd actually be okay. And Michael, I think one of the fun things about the game today is its diversity in skills. It you'd be amazed the skill sets of people in the sport, and they come from all different backgrounds, all different cultures, all different job histories.
Yeah, and Michael, it reminded me of what Dan was talking about as well. I know last year, so we talked about networking at the Hotel Anatole last year. And we had a couple of SMWW alumni that were with us, and they were kind of just standing in the back and just, just kind of watching from afar. And I walked up to one of them, and he's an engineer, come from an engineering background, not really sports background, and he was, like, I just don't know what to say. I'm not a perennial sports type of sports guy, right? Like I don't have sports background, but I love the sport. And I said, well, let's put it this way. You can ask 100 people to talk to you and one says yes, and it turns out to go well, then that would be good beneficial. Or you can say, talk to nobody, and then you're definitely going to get a no. You're definitely not going to get anyone from that. He ended up talking. I challenged him. I said, before you leave today, they had a LinkedIn, baseball network event, and I said, I want you to talk to 10 people you've never met before that worked for a team. Just that was there. And her job there was to collect resumes and talk to people, and he did. And I come to find out a couple months later, he ended up being working as in Major League Baseball as a junior operator, data operator as well. And so that's his shot to get inside the league, inside baseball. Now, and it just took him being able to get more outward. So don't be afraid. If the more no's you get, the more opportunity there is to say for someone to say yes. And so that's a good way to look at that as well.
I really
Yeah, and I
appreciate it,
want to
guys.
say something too for everybody in the class. Our scope is not myopic in nature. We talk about the international game. We do a slide presentation. I do a slide presentation of Pacific Rim baseball. We talk about signing Vladimir Guerrero Jr. There are elements that have nothing to do with the big leagues, and the reason is not everybody is like cut out to be in the big leagues. Some people want to be a minor league operator. Some people want to be an agent. Some people want to be an analyst. Whatever you want to do, we've got that conveyor belt, but we also try to hopscotch around over the course of the 8 weeks that you get different looks at different elements of the game.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Michael, for your question. Dan, do you have time for a couple more?
Yeah, I got about 5 more minutes, Nick. I'm teaching tonight and I'm having dinner with my way better half before that.
Absolutely. We'll go with Mike then. Here. Mike, you gotta unmute yourself here.
What's up, Mike?
Hey, how is everybody? Hey, I got a
Well,
question about Tony Vitelli being hired. So
yeah.
he knows what he's getting into, and Buster Posey knows what he's getting into, but he's going from college to pro. He's going from 22-year-old and less to adults that are married and have kids and have been professional baseball player for 10 years. And how would you want to prepare him for some of those conversations and some of those, how it's going to be so different from kids kind of getting away from their parents to people who are parents?
Mike, that's a great question. And for those of you who don't know, the Giants just are about to hire the University of Tennessee's head baseball coach, who won the national championship a couple years ago. It's a really interesting hire because no one has ever gone from the collegiate head coach position to a big league manager job ever. There have been people who went to big league staffs, who went to like bench coach roles, but no one has ever gone to the manager's job. Mike, it's a great question. Here's my answer. Nobody, including Buster and Tony, really knows if Tony is ready. The only way we're going to find out is when Tony is inserted into the Giants in spring training. You never really know. I mean, like when I became the general manager of the Dodgers, I didn't really know. I learned later, hey, you know what? I was prepared. Thank God. It's a huge market and there was a ton of pressure, but I didn't know. Tony Vitelli might end up to be a great hire. You know, the game is 60'6" centric. If you pitch, you're going to win a lot of games. What's his communication like? What is his ability to interact with star players, but also the not so star player? How does he manage up? It's not an athletic director or university president anymore. It's the owner of a team worth billions of dollars. It's accountability to the media. Knoxville's never been confused for the Bay Area. So as a result, he's going to have media, including national media, that he's never dealt with before on a daily basis. Does he have the skill set? I don't know him well enough to ascertain that, but I give Buster a ton of credit because he thought he was the right guy and didn't worry about the norms. You know, I hate that crap where somebody has to fit into a certain checklist or silo. Some of the best decisions in my life were very, very different and unconventional. And I wish him well. The college game has never been better. And this guy has won at the college level. He may translate really well, but you know what's great? The Dodgers, the Padres, the D-backs, none of them are going away. They don't really give a rat's ass that he was the Tennessee head coach. He's got to make decisions starting next March that are good ones on behalf of the Giants.
No, I feel the same way. I'm a big fan of a book that says it's called Change is Good, You Go First. So I like how Buster Posey's thinking outside the box and don't just hire the bench coach from another team. Let's do something completely different.
Yeah. And you know what? Sasaki and he are really good candidates. You can't be more contrasting. We don't know which one's going to succeed. We have no idea. Dave Roberts didn't get interviewed by the Padres when their manager job came up 12 years ago. Now he's a Hall of Fame baseball manager. I mean, he will undoubtedly be in the Hall of Fame. And this is a guy 10 years ago over lunch debated whether or not it was time to get out of the game.
No, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your
Got it.
question, Mike. With that being said, we'll let Dan go here so he can spend some dinner time before his class for all his current students as well. But thank you, Dan, for taking the time to speak with everybody. Everybody on the call, I'm going to bring in one of our career advisors, Jeff Brody, who's been with the company for 17 plus years. He'll be able to answer any questions you have about the perks of SMWW, what comes in the classes, what are some chat times and all that. I know, and Dan, as we say, like your next class after this one is November 3rd, and you know, Hank Jones, your counterpart, Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then yours, of course, at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here. So thank you, Dan, and you're free to have some dinner if you would like that.
You're welcome. Hey, Nick, if I could just say one thing. First of all,
Absolutely.
the SMWW staff from leadership down, extraordinary. Absolutely amazing. Jeff Brody rocks. Just absolutely rocks.
Danny Evans rocks. You guys are listening to our number one out of all 40 of our courses. You got the best mentor right there. Thank you so much, Dan.
Nick rocks. But here's the key, everybody. Don't be afraid. If you really want to get in, jump in. When you're on the side of the pool, you don't know what the water feels like. Jump in.
That's right.
And if you jump into our class, you will not regret it. You'll emerge better, and you'll have a better shot of obtaining your dreams. I'm just telling you, there's no debate. Our track record proves it. We literally have almost 400 alumni working in the game. That doesn't happen by chance. So thanks for your time, everybody. I see Nakahara-san, arigato. That's very kind of you, sir. Wish you all well. Take the class. Let Hank and I have some fun trying to mold you and mentor you. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks, Dan. Don't
Thanks,
forget to go
Dan.
see Deliver Me from Nowhere on Friday.
Ooh, good call.
See you, buddy.
See you guys.
Yeah, and he talked about, I mean, and some of our alumni consists of Ron Knight, who is the Atlanta Braves director of minor league operations. I mean, Scott Powers was the Houston Astros assistant GM. James Vadas is the Washington Nationals assistant director of baseball operations. I mean, we have someone, Ricardo Williamson, who's one of the Mexican League's general managers. So it's just this sheer variety of people from scouting to GM positions as well. But I'll turn the mic over to Jeff here.
Yeah, welcome everybody, or good to see you. I've been in the background listening, doing other things, but it's so fun to see everybody's faces. I know I've talked to Colin and Antonio, I always see in these, and Mike, and I mean, I just go down this list. Willie, it's good to see you guys. So let's, who's got questions for me in regards to the course logistics? I know I've talked to a lot of you already, but anybody have any questions for me?
While you guys thinking about those questions, oh, we'll go to Willie here.
Hey, Willie.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
Hey, I had a question. Which course would you recommend for those who want to become certified to be an MLB agent? Do you recommend the scouting first, then the actual certification course,
Oh,
or to
I would
jump
do
right
the
into the
baseball.
certification?
I would do the baseball agent course, Willie. That curriculum's going to be most in line with one, like Dan spoke to, what's on the test and the
Yes.
logistics of getting set up to take the test, fill out the application, all those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah. And the
And
next baseball, we just started a baseball agent course. So the next one will probably be in March. But you're signed up for a course right now, aren't you, Willie?
yes. I'm in the salary cap course and in the career strategies course.
And you just started salary cap Monday, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'll follow up with you on that one when the next baseball agent course comes around. But that would be the best one for that.
Okay. Thank you.
I know Willie just mentioned the sports career strategies course. I mean, we talked about, so what happens after I take one of these courses? We offer a free sports career strategies course for all SMWW alumni. And Jeff, I mean, it's a course that how do you deal with interviews? How do you make your resume good? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Interview prep. Where should I be looking for the jobs? I tell everybody this on the front end: do an informational interview with someone in HR. They're the hiring parties. You want to understand their process of hiring, because maybe you don't get that first job with the Giants. Maybe it's the second or third one that comes up, but they know who you are and they have your resume. And the more your resume can be, maybe it starts at the bottom, but each different opportunity, it starts to rise up because they see how hungry you are. So, and that's another good point. Continue to interview with the same teams. Don't say, "Oh, I missed out on that opportunity with the D-backs, so I'm not going to go back to the D-backs. I'm going to go to the Dodgers or the Angels." Continue to, carve out a couple hours of your day or your week and make it. I'm going to go out and make getting the job my job. I'm a huge proponent, and you have to focus on getting the job. It's not like, okay, I took the course, now I'm not going to do anything about it. I mean, that's the most, I've been here for 17 years. It's the most frustrating conversation I have out of a course is, it's what are you doing now? You've got the mentor, you've got the marketable skill set. You're in such a better place than you were 2 months ago. Now continue to grow on that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's not just professional baseball jobs and for MLB. There's Japanese ball, there's Mexican leagues, there's Dominican Republic leagues, there's Puerto Rican leagues. There's also collegiate baseball. I mean, now more than ever in pretty much every sport, these collegiate sport teams are turning into front offices. They need scouts, they need analysts. And if you're especially someone who's, more younger and in college, volunteer. like that is a great way for you to get on your resume, get connected with people in industry as well. That's saying, hey, I took the time in order to get notable in the business as well, because that's your foot in the door. That's a way to get your foot in the door as well.
We've had a lot of students go, and I know Dan mentioned this, but Fangraphs and Info Solutions and those kind of companies, the scouting companies, Perfect Game, Baseball America,
Trackman,
D1
Rapsetto.
Baseball, they all have scouts. So there's just a lot of opportunities, and I think a lot of people go into it and it's like, oh, it's not going to happen for me because I'm not going to be with the major league team tomorrow. Maybe not, but you're going to get your foot in the door somewhere.
Absolutely. We got a question here from Danielle.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hi, Jeff. I actually had a voicemail from you a while ago. I hadn't responded to it. But anyway, you kind of
Thank
went
you.
on with what I was gonna ask, because I'm a young woman and I live in Silicon Valley. I live right by the Giants Stadium. And obviously, I'm trying to get involved in the sporting industry. I've always loved baseball, loved it forever. And I've also loved the NFL. What do you recommend? I know that you guys have been highly highlighting the courses, but for someone like me who's good at sales, who loves social media, who likes admin type of things, how can I get involved in volunteering? How do you do that here? Like, what do you recommend? Probably sounds super silly, but I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, I mean, where are you looking for positions? I mean, have you reached
So
out to the Giants?
I haven't reached out to the Giants. I don't know how, but I'm
Okay.
trying to learn how to do that and what the best way to do that. I've reached out to the San Jose Earthquakes. I've reached out to the San Jose Sharks.
Uh-huh.
I've reached out to a lot of different things. And I've also attended a few of the career virtual meetings to kind of hear what people have to say. That's
Okay.
been really informational. You guys have been amazing at giving me all kinds of information. So I'm kind of trying to figure out how else I can do that, some more, options.
Yeah, I mean, like Nick mentioned when we were talking to Dan, one of our biggest, I think it's the best part of all of our curriculum is going out and doing informational interviews. Now, getting the marketable skill set and getting a mentor through one of our courses, I think, is a huge advantage to getting those informational interviews because it gives you a reason to, this is a requirement for a course. Maybe drop a couple names that get you your foot in the door. So, our sports sales and marketing course with Jim Van Dam of the Colts and then Alexa Klein from the Yankees, I think would be a great course if you're looking to take a course. And then our sports media and content strategy course is a good one too. That's kind of the jobs around the ballpark on game day. But yeah, though I think those are. I think that's just such an important part of our curriculum.
Like, don't be
Okay,
afraid to
perfect.
reach out to even somebody at a college.
Yeah.
Like in the cinema film. I mean, maybe sometimes a college person may be a little bit more receptive than someone at a pro level, depending on the season as well. Right. You also
Right.
have to have some feel about when you're reaching out to somebody. If we're reaching out to the Blue Jays on Friday night, probably not going to be the best time. And they
Hmm.
probably won't be able to respond to you. So also being able to understand that. And also one thing that I know Dr. Lashbrook has always shared is look at their LinkedIn. If you can find something that you can relate with on their LinkedIn, that's an easy pathway for you to have that conversation with them as well. Because now they've put some common ground between you and that other person as well. So taking that extra time to necessarily not study everything about their life, but have some input and an understanding of it helps you even go into these interviews as well.
Do your research on the people you're interviewing.
Yes, I use LinkedIn a lot. I've been, reading about different people and seeing what they do, how to connect. And I think LinkedIn right now is such a really, really, really helpful tool. So, and you guys have also been like a very helpful tool, and I really appreciate all of your guys' information and time.
Thank you.
Of course.
Call
Clint,
anytime, Danielle.
Yes,
absolutely.
I
I
definitely
left
will
my
be
number in
reaching
that
out.
voicemail.
Yes, yes, I will definitely be contacting you.
Okay, perfect.
Clint, I saw that you had your hand raised. Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did actually, but he kind of answered it when he touched up on Danielle's question. So
That happens a lot in these last few minutes. It's like, oh, that was what I was going to ask.
yeah, no worries. Thanks.
I see Colin's got his hand up.
Yeah, hey, what's up, Jeff? It's nice to put a face to the name.
Yeah, a long time since today, this afternoon.
Question for you. What's typical class size of these courses?
They're pretty intimate, usually around 15 to 20.
Okay.
And not everybody shows up to each Zoom class. So what do you think, Nick? Probably 12 to 15
Yeah, definitely
on a
depending on the
Monday and
course.
Wednesday night, I would say. So you do get and that's important to us, not to have 25, 35 people in there because we really do want, first of all, Dan and Hank want to get to know who they're talking to. Or if they're gonna, go out and vouch for somebody, they want to build rapport. And make sure that you get your specific questions answered because everybody's got a different agenda, right? And everybody's in different areas in life and family wise and we want you to really get the true mentorship and not just be in a webinar.
Yeah, I mean, that's why all of our classes are recorded. We understand people have lives. We understand that stuff comes up. I mean, we don't ask anyone to quit their day jobs while you pursue your passion sports. That's the beautiful thing about this company is that it's very flexible in the sense of like, if you can't show up to class, boom, you got a recording the very next morning. If you got an issue with something going on, email student services. We'll help you pretty much the very next morning. I mean, you have these mentors that, you can watch YouTube videos on what does it take to become a scout, and that's all cool. And maybe those are decent supplement options as well. But, not many, you don't get the opportunity to speak with someone who's literally the president of SABR, who
Yeah.
has literally been a GM that's lived and breathed every single role that you can in baseball. And even with any of our courses, we pick our instructors who are industry leaders, not just people with fancy degrees, right? Because you can get sports management in college as well, and that's awesome. And we even have a partnership with Concordia University of Chicago, where it's about third the price. We have a good partnership with them where we waive your application fee, which is about a $250 value. We help streamline the process for you to get in to help bolster your resume as well. And a master's in sports leadership, MBA in sports management, and your PhD in EDD, but also at the same time, like we have people on staff in our faculty that have lived and breathed where exactly you are and where exactly where you want to become as well.
Cool. Thanks, guys. I actually got to jump off, but this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, Colin.
Thank you,
Okay, you
Talk
Colin.
too,
soon.
Jeff. Okay, thanks, Nick. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about kind of the conferences we got coming up in the baseball realm?
Um, that's probably more your line there. I don't know exactly what's going on with the conferences.
That's fair. I mean, early, yeah. So
You're going. I don't get to go.
that's totally fair. I mean, we got another upcoming. How many years have you been doing this, Jeff?
Baseball 20. I say this is about our 20th conference at baseball winter meetings.
20 plus years. I
Yeah.
mean, last year was I got to go last year, and I know it's always the kind of the first weekend of December or second weekend. It's in Orlando this year doing the baseball winter meetings, and you may ask, well, how do you get access to the winter meetings? Well, it's not something where like it's a scouting like the NFL scouting combine where anybody can just go in free entry, or it's not something you have to pay for. It's something where you just need to be in the right locations around the area. By that I mean, so last year the hotel in Toll is just massive hotel, where they got business and conference space all over. But down on they have a big lobby, a big area where they got restaurants, they got bars, they've got, media set up, they got everyone's there. MLB Network is there, the New York Mets are there. Everyone you can think of that's in the game that covers it will be there. And all you got to do is just walk those halls. Just walk in the lobby. I mean, I know personally what we did is after our conference, after you got to hear from incredible industry leaders. I mean, we've had the Sabre CEO come, we've had Dave Roberts come as well. We had Jason Stark last year come as well. I mean, Dan Duquette, his brother Jim Duquette, all former GMs, I should say cousin, not brother. But then you go through, and what we did is Dan Evans and Hank, I said, hey, we're gonna head over to the hotel in Tull. Anyone who wants to join us is more than welcome to. And you walk over as a crew. You watch how Dan networks. You see that he will introduce you to people, right? But if you're not willing to put yourself out there, not willing to go out there and present yourself in the best possible way, then, you know, if you're gonna sit like a wallflower, this, you know, you're not gonna get what you put into it. And that's with anything in life, not just even with like your careers.
Yep, get to Orlando if you can. I know it's kind of tough, but our conferences are fantastic. Great speakers, great networking. They're the best.
Absolutely.
And not to toot our own horn, but we're darn good at them.
Right. I mean, we've been doing this for 30 plus years and, you know, over 30 to 40,000 alumni in about 164 countries. I mean, the global reach is there and there's more than one location for you. You just got to be able to find your way in it and not be afraid.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nick, did you mention when Dan's and Hank's next course is?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
remention it here. So yeah, November 3rd, and Hank's classes, Hank Jones will have a class on Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and then Dan's, which he has one tonight, are on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern as well. And so that's where he referred to 8 weeks. You get two core in this specific course, you get two great mentors in this with two separate chats.
And then Ari Kaplan, who does our baseball analytics, we're going to do a doc talk just like this, a preview of his course. I think it's next week. Is that right, Nick?
It's in November 11th, so in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
But
and his course starts the 24th. So anybody who's interested in baseball analytics, which I am heavily into that, baseball is my sport as well. Yeah, join in for that too. Ari's fantastic, and his course is always full, so that's good.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there any last questions before we log off for the night?
Hey, if you didn't get your questions asked and answered, feel free to reach out. Call the office anytime. Just remember, we're 3 hours behind the East Coast here out on the West Coast. I'm usually in around 6:30 a.m., but call the office anytime and ask for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put the office line here. Oh, that's a cell number. An office line here in the chat as well, so for you guys to be able to call as well. And then an email that you can all send an inquiry to if you have any questions about anything, even just free career advice.
Yeah.
I mean, we have people on staff like Jeff Brody, who is to help give advice for those who are looking to break into the industry one way or another. And, you know, during normal business hours and even after, we'll respond. Like, because we just want to show that this company is full of people. It's not just a bunch of robots that's there trying to just collect. It's just we're here to help you guys be able to pursue your passion in the sport that you love.
That's right. All right. Well,
Yep.
thank you everybody for joining. Once again, numbers all over the website. It's at the bottom of every email that you receive from us. And I know that can be a lot, but love to talk to you.
Absolutely. And this recording, for those who are listening, and even if you guys are wondering, this Stock Talk was recorded. And it will be once it's rendered the next couple days, we'll send it out to all the registrants as well.
Did you send out a discount code for them?
Yes, I did.
Okay, perfect.
So sounds good. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your nights and enjoy some good weekend World Series.
Thanks, everybody.